Okay ladies, now I am going to show you what and how to make my little cushion. So I've shown you how to do the zip and explained how to put it together, but did you know that this fabric is actually chalkboard fabric? So I have appliqued this on just with a blanket stitch, and I designed my little kiwi. I just cut out a little shape and cut it out of this fabric, which is blackboard fabric. That obviously won't fit on that size, but anyway. So we sell this blackboard fabric. It's a lot of fun, and you can use it with chalk and you can use it with chalk ink. So before I've cut my fabric out, should I say, I had to do a little bit of homework, and I had to find out the right product that was going to work on this chalkboard fabric, because obviously you could buy ordinary chalk, but I want to make cushions and give them to my grandchildren, so ordinary chalk is going to make a big mess. So I hunted around and I found a wonderful art supply shop downtown, and they sell chalk that is dustless. So I bought this whole pack for $4.50, and it's just amazing. So when you buy your chalkboard fabric, by the way, from us, because some ladies went down and bought it thought they could buy it from the lady, but we sell it. You get your dustless chalk, and the first thing you need to do is you need to cure your fabric. So you need to cover it just like you do when you have got a new chalkboard at home. So you need to cover it all with chalk, and then you need to wipe it off, and it's ready to use. So obviously I did that before I cut my kiwi out, and then I washed it. Okay, then I appliqued it on, as I said, just with a blanket stitch, and now I can write, oh, dots in the wrong place. I can write on my little blackboard, because that's exactly what it is. And it really doesn't matter if some of it gets on your cushion, because you can just dust it off and the whole thing can be washed. So don't stress about it, because it's very, very easy. So I think this is really good for younger children, because it is nice and easy to use, and it's pretty user friendly. I mean, they're not going to hurt themselves eating a bit of chalk, even if they're too young to use it. So I don't think that's a problem. So dustless chalk is the key. But then I did my homework even more, because I was very interested in finding chalk ink. And you go to cafes and you see the chalkboards, and they've got this cool drawing and writing all over it, and you can see they haven't used chalk. So I've been to 4 different places in Tauranga, and again, the art supply shop that I found had this particular chalk marker, and it was probably the best one that I found. And with this one, when I write, on here, you get a very clear picture. Okay, now when I wash that away, you get a very slight residue, but it was the best one that I tried, and it washed off really, really well. Now that was only washing it off with water. So if you washed it off with something harsher, then it would completely clear off. But I just washed it off with a bit of water, and that's what I was left with. Now this is now wet, and you need to leave that to dry. However, when it's dry, oh, I think I've cleared most of them off. When it's dry, it will still smudge like chalk. So know that it actually is still a chalk. So it will still smudge, but I think maybe for age 12 and upwards would be a really good use of this. I wouldn't use it for the younger ones, because I don't think you'd like it all over your lounge furniture. So the dustless chalk for the young ones, like this, and then the older ones have this one now. So this is the packet that I bought. So if you look out for this packet, because every single other one of these that I found were $10 and this is only $7.95. Now it says, I will tell you that it says smudge proof when dry, but it really still, if you put your finger down like that, it will smudge. So it's washable and it's definitely dust free. You can use it on glass, metal, plastic, blackboards and whiteboards. So it's quite a handy product, but I love it on the blackboard. So there you go. So this fabric is by the meter. It's 120 centimeters wide and it's about $36. So we do sell it. So if you're interested, it's a great product. Go on to Pinterest and have a look at the amazing amount of things there are that you can do with it. But know that we do sell it. So you can see it is a fabric and it just sews beautifully. It cuts cleanly. You don't have to overlock it, turn it under. You just simply cut it and stitch it on. Brilliant product. So chalkboard fabric, really good fun. I saw a really neat idea on Pinterest and you get hessian and you cut out your numbers out of your chalkboard fabric. You put it into a book for young ones, then they can learn to draw their numbers. I thought that was brilliant. Really, really, really good. So yeah, neat idea. Now, we got this beautiful range of fabric behind us, came in the other day, and I absolutely love it. And I vaguely remembered that Julie Vec from Bernina, New Zealand had given me a push bike, a little cycle picture that I could paint. So I thought I'd show you that today because it's something very unique to Bernina. And this is what I produced out of it. And I painted a bicycle on some fabric and then I thought I'd make a really nice little cushion. So I've done exactly the same with the back of my cushion. I have, here's my backing, made my zip longer than my cushion, and to finish it I'll simply just lay this right side to right side just as I showed you before, stitch around it, oops, and I will have my cushion. Remember to open up your zip. Cute though, eh? So I'm going to show you how to do that. I love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So what I've got here is I've put some fabric into a hoop, and this is my embroidery hoop, so you do need an embroidery machine. I've only put some tearaway behind it so that the ink won't go onto my sewing machine. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is take off your sew table. Lift your foot up would be quite good. So let's try that again. Lift our foot up, take off our sew table, put our dustless chalk away. You're not going to be using any thread. And you're going to be taking your foot off, and you're going to be taking your needle off. Oh, that could be good. Probably need to find my screwdriver. I'll just make sure I don't tip these upside down. My screwdriver's gone AWOL. There it is, underneath all my stuff. Here we go. So take out your needle. You're going to be using a new foot today that Bernina bring out, and it's actually a tool called a Paintworks tool. So I'm going to take that over here, and I'm going to put on my embroidery module. So this embroidery module can go on to these machines to make it an embroidery machine. So it simply just goes in like that. It's quite nice to see what all these machines can do now. And I can put this back on, like so. And I've got my feed dogs down. Now, this is the foot. It comes in a box like this. And it comes with these little inners in it. And what the inners do is when you're ready to paint, you simply put your pen through and find which size holder is going to work. So when you buy this foot, you get given the foot, all the little holders, and you get given a 12 pack of coloured pens. Now these are like a felt tip pen, but they heat set with the iron. They're brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I'll get out the black one so you can see what I'm doing. and I'm going to put my foot on and make sure I've got the right holder for my pen. So this goes on just like a normal foot. It's quite bizarre, isn't it? This little arm goes down. You open out your pen. Oh, maybe I'll do a blue bike. I've been doing black bikes for days. Maybe I'll do a blue bike. Okay, I'm going to do blue. And you push your pen down until it touches the little marker there. So this can open, but it also will hold it in the right place. And you can line it up. Close your little holder so your pen won't move when you work. And then you're going to tell your machine you want to paint. I have a paint picture already on my machine, on my USB stick, so I'm just going to find that. So I'm a little bit spoiled because I've already got one there, and I'll do one that's doesn't take too long. Then I need to tell my machine that I've got this foot on, and I just need to push the right buttons and move my frame and put my hoop on. So the hoops just go on like this and they connect down there. My hoop is on and it's going to move into position, and then I'm going to lift my little arm up. And now when I push start and say I want to start, the machine's going to get confused and say, but I don't know what foot you've got on. So I need to tick it that yes, that's the foot, because it's just recognised a new foot, and then I start stitching. Now I've got it far too low, so I just wind that up a little bit, make sure this is tight, and watch this. It's a little bit clever. Now what I've done is I've got a fabric that's got a little bit of a self-design on it. So it's a white on white fabric. So when it stitches with a colour, that's why I changed my mind to a blue, you actually get to see the fabric through the stitching. It's very, very, very clever. So this machine now is going to take 8 minutes and it's going to stitch my whole bicycle for me. It's a little bit too clever. It's just amazing to watch. Quite hard to walk away when you put on a new design. I've seen this a few times in the last few days, but it's quite a lot of fun. Right, so now that you can see that that's going, we're going to leave that going, and I'm just going to show you something very, very cool. I'm going to go down to my Fott Control, and I'm going to bring this up. So some of you ladies might have wooden floors in your home, or you might have other types of floors where your Fott Control skids when you are sewing. So I saw this online and I think it's a brilliant idea. This is just the grippy stuff that you get for your kitchen drawers. And you'll get the notes for this because I think it's so clever. And all you do is have 2 layers of it. So you've got 2 layers of your fabric. And we just got this from Para Rubber or Payless Plastics. Any of those shops sell them. And then go back this way, and then this is just a piece of fabric folded in half. You'll get the measurements, and this end is going to be stuffed with wadding when I've finished stitching it. So you just simply lay it down on top of your fabric. Your binding gets folded in half, which you will get the measurements for, but I want to show you how to do a corner. So when you start, you've got a little arm here, and you have to learn how to do these corners. So all you do is lay your fabric down, and I'll just pin this. Maybe I'll stop this for a second. Thank you. I'm going to say I'm going to pin it, and I'm going to put in, oh, there we are. That's what I want. I'm going to pin this in here. So all you do is we're going to stitch, and I've shown you this many, many times. It's the same method. Oops, come back a bit further. So we're just going to put our edges together and stitch all the way along here, and then sew out to the corners so it's just like doing a patchwork corner, and then we're going to fold it up and sew down here. So when you fold this up, you need to make sure that you've got a perfect right angle. So you're sewing to there, out to the corner, then when you fold this over, you're going to go right down to the bottom. So I'm just going to quickly show you as soon as this is finished stitching, but how cool is this? It's so easy and so clever. When you've finished stitching from the wrong side, this will be your right side, you just turn it over and top stitch it. And when you come to your corners, because you stitched them correctly, they just fold into a mitre. It's very clever, and then you stuff that and hand stitch it. So you end up with a little roll at the back to stop your foot from moving, and this is all just top stitched around the outside. So if the camera comes down to the bottom here, then you just lay it down and you simply put this on here, and it stops that from moving while you're sewing. Quite an important thing to happen, because when you are sewing, if that foot's moving, what happens is you tend to strain your back because you're really trying to push your leg and try and get your foot and drag your foot back. So it makes a lot of sense. So it's very, very good. So I will just, as soon as that's finished, I'll just stitch that little bit and show you. While that's stitching, I'll leave you to watch it, and I'll go and get some thread. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I like my blue bike. It's very clever. Now, if you wanted to do a lot of this type of work, if you do have an embroidery machine and you have some software, what you do is you can buy this, which is your Paintworks kit, for $249, and the only other cost is $199 for your Paintworks code. Now what that does is that goes onto your computer, and it allows you to get any of your designs that are embroidery designs and transfer and make them paintwork designs. So it's not hard, so if you're interested, just let me know. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's very, very clever. So you could do part of your work as paintworks, part of your work as embroidery, and there's lots of other things you can do as well, but that's just a couple of them. So it's just going around the outside spokes now. I think it's actually really, really cute in the blue. Now somebody asked how long the pens last. Depends how many pictures you do. Nobody can tell you. They're very, very good quality pens, but we don't sell those ones. They come in the kit. We sell these Fabrico ones. Now the beauty about the Fabrico ones is they have two ends. So they have one very fine point, which is brilliant for this work, finer point than what I'm using. And then on the other end, they have a very thick point. So for colouring in and a softer end and a softer finish, then you can get that one as well. So yeah, they're not bad, and they iron just the same, and they heat set just the same. So we have this in a huge range of colours. So they're called Fabrico pens, and a lot of people use them just for hand drawing and heat setting. So that's what we sell. The ones that you get, these are brilliant, but they're very expensive, so we chose not to bring these in. And they're the Edding pens, and they're very, very good, but they were a lot dearer and they only have the one end. So they come with the kit, so you get a good starter kit, and then you can buy the other ones separately. Make sure I put them away. So it's got 1 minute to go, and then I'll show you how to do that corner again for those that have forgotten. You need an ordinary foot. So it's just going around the outside spoke. It's really cute. But yeah, it couldn't have been better timing for me to actually remember I had that with that fabric. It's rather gorgeous. So it's just going to go around the edge of my wheel. Not that it needs to, it looks finished already, but it does it anyway. And on the inside of it, and it's finished. Now when you're finished, before you do anything, make sure you put this little arm down like that. Open up your holder for your pen and take your pen out. Oops. And then put your lid back on that you've put in a safe place. We'll just put it there for the second. And then take your foot off just by releasing that little arm, and then that's your foot. So it's a very interesting looking foot, and that's called your Paintworks Tool. Okay, so what more can they think of? Now here's my bicycle. It's quite fun, isn't it? So I've done it on a white on white background, so it shows up quite differently when you see it on there. And I've done the pens quite thick, it's quite nice. So there you go. Now, so I'm going to put my feed dogs back up. Ordinary thread on my machine. My machine back to sewing, not embroidery. That arm automatically moved out of the road. Now I can leave that embroidery unit attached. I do not have to worry. So I can leave that all attached. Put my needle back in my work. And thread my needle. So this one's got a little Torx screwdriver. It's a little bit different than the normal ones. So you've got to make sure you don't lose your screwdriver, Robin, which I always do. And then it's got an automatic needle threader. Now a lot of you ladies have got automatic needle threaders and you get a little bit stuck with them. If you're right-handed, hold your thread in your right hand, bring your needle threader down, hook it under the little hook there before you push it any further. Keep the tension on your thread, push it down till it can't go any further, slide it in between the two pieces and let your right hand go. So many people hold on to that and then they can't thread it. And then let your left hand go and you've got your thread. Okay? Yes, some of yours won't be as big, but they work exactly the same. I'm going to show you that again. So hook it under there, right. So underneath as it's coming down, push down till it can't go any further, slide it in, let your right hand go and your left hand go. Okay, and that's how you thread it. Now I'll just use this ordinary foot and I'm going to push clear because I've been mucking around with my needle position left and right. So I'm just going to show you one corner. So I'm just going to start here and you just sew down. Makes all these wonderful sounds. So you're going to sew down. The width that you're sewing, you're going to stop that length from the end of your work. So I normally use a 1/4 inch foot for this, but I'm just quickly showing you on one we've already started. So I'm cheating. So when I get to here, my needle goes down, I lift my work and I completely go out to the point of my fabric. Okay, just like that. Oh, and I've run out of bobbin thread. No, I didn't put my bobbin back in. That's how to sew when you're not sewing. Now I will show you it again, because remember I took it out and the machine didn't tell me. That's actually amazing. Must be Sunday if the machine's not telling me something, saying I'm not supposed to be working. So let's try that again. That was just take one. Now let's take two. So foot under, start about inch, maybe an inch away from the end. Reverse or lock off, whichever you want to do. Sew down. This can be a little bit sticky, so lift it up a little bit. Needle down, lift your work, go out to the point, and then take it out of your work. You don't need to backstitch it, cut your work. Now, if I come around like this, now the fabric is going to go up and down. So what happens is you are making a right angle with your fabric, and you're going to sew from the top down now, and that's going to cause you to have a perfect mitre. So you just go from the very top of your work and you sew down. It's a bit hard when you're doing it on one you've already started, but it gives you the idea of the corner. So back stitch that little bit. So I just want to show you what happens. So when you've got your mitre done correctly, when you're ready to roll this over and top stitch it, oh, you go this way, you go the same way as you have stitched it, and you just pull it over like this, and then when you bring this one over, it will fold over perfectly to make a mitre. Now I will try and pin that and show you. So this is why I do not stitch that edge. Cut your thread. Can you see, because the way it's been stitched, when you fold it, you get a perfect mitre, and then I'm just going to top stitch that all the way around the outside. Now everybody gets stuck at the joining piece here. So what you do, this is my beginning, you simply fold that part away. Get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to take this out because I really want you to understand this bit. So here's my joining. So I'm just folding the beginning part away. Here's my fabric that I want to use. Actually, I might just go back a bit further. Just 1 second. I'm just going to revamp that and not have quite so much fabric wasted here. Because this has already been used, you see. So now I'm just going to fold that part away. I'll just pop a pin in there so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So this is the end that I'm getting rid of. I've come all the way around, and I simply just overlap it because I like to cheat, and I go past my opening, and then I just get rid of my fabric. Whoops, hello. We've just had the lights turned off on us, sorry. They'll be back on again in a minute. There we go. That's all right. So now I'm going to stitch from here, and I'm going to top stitch all the way along here, making sure I've covered my beginning, and then I'm going to get rid of my excess fabric. Make sure you take your pin out. Now the reason why you don't want any bulk here is because you are going to turn it over and top stitch it. So just get rid of any bulk. And go all the way down. Now what happens now is I'm going to cut this off here. And when I come all the way over, it's going to roll, it's going to cover my stitching there, and this one's going to come right over and cover the stitching, and I'm not going to have bulk. So I'm just going to try and roll it and show you with a pin. It's very hard for you to see it otherwise. So here's my fabric that's going to come over and be top stitched. Pin there, so that's at that end. And then because you've haven't got so much bulk here, just grab a pin and bring it right over. I'll turn that around and show you. So that you are covering everything over, and that's my little cheats method of doing and the finishing off. But do you know what I do? I put that up behind here so I don't need to worry about it anyway. And then when you top stitch this, and this gets stuffed with your wadding, because you've got one end open, you stuff that all with the wadding, you're never going to see your join anyway. So I don't put mine at that end, I put it up behind the roll. Okay, so you'll have the step-by-step notes. Wasn't my idea, saw it on the internet, and I think it's brilliant. So there you go, girls. That will stop your foot control from creeping, and have fun, enjoy it, and save all those little bits of threads to do your thread stitching. Have a good month.